Cryptilians and crypto crackheads, today is Monday, April 19th, 2021, and you're about to get temified. All right, so we can essentially confirm my suspicions and my previous conspiracy theories that other crypto YouTubers thought were silly, and air quotes, they were saying educated, trying to make fun of my channel because I know they're tuning in. I can even see a few of them are now using ribbons. Like I started using, and they didn't use ribbons before I started using it. I went back on their channel. But anyway, a lot of people were kind of making fun of me for being the only bearish person out there. And my specific reasoning for it was the market had been propped up too long without any healthy correction. And I really thought it was the leveraged exchanges either working with directly behind the scenes or piggybacking the Coinbase and Cardano news to prop up the market for a month in order to essentially liquidate and take gamblers' money or new crypto traders who had some stimulus money, right? A lot of stimulus money from the United States, perhaps in other countries. I don't know who else got stimulus checks. And essentially, I felt that it was a setup to take their money because things were coordinated almost too perfectly. And I knew it wasn't natural in regards to how it was. It was first Cardano, then it was Bitcoin, then it was Ethereum, then it was Litecoin. Shit doesn't just take turns like that, right? And also, my first indication that it was kind of a setup was the 2-week RSI. This doesn't happen, period. It doesn't happen, period. It was unnatural. It smelled bad. Okay. All right. So now that we know, because $3 billion, actually more than $3 billion of liquidations happened quickly, we can now confirm those suspicions. That's exactly what was happening because they took all the gamblers' money. So, and it was by far the most liquidations. The exchanges made more money in that day than they have in any day ever in the history of crypto. Okay, so that can be confirmed now. Yeah. So conspiracy theory nut. Ta-da! I was really sweating it because I thought, man, it really looks like Bitcoin is going to go up. Okay, and so the second key point as a follow-up is this. I want you to all really live through the experience I went through to just see how cruel this market is and how much the exchanges really set stuff up to get you to change your mind when actually your thought process was correct, okay? So hear me out. So I had been bearish for how many weeks? 3 or 4, and thinking we need to correct, right? And then the market just stayed sideways, and then Ethereum going up, making all-time highs, and it just beat me down. And then right when I said, okay, I'm flipping my probabilities, a strong correction moving quickly is still my third top out of three options, but I think the most probable is either sideways or moving up, right? Bitcoin strong or sideways strong. And I flipped, so prior I had on top that Bitcoin's going to correct most probable by a little bit, and I flipped it. And then a day and a half later, what happened? Then it happened. That's how cruel these markets are. And the exchanges, since they're the wild, wild west, they really don't have any, regulatory systems behind them. They know that. They can see the order books. It's being fabricated, essentially, to a certain point. Can they control if somebody spent like $1 billion on Bitcoin and suppress the price when they're trying to? No. So it's to a certain point. But that's how cruel the markets are. It even got me, the only bearish person on YouTube who knew that a correction was incoming. It got me to flip my probabilities, and then it happened. Okay, so in terms of patience and just always, viewing the market for your top 3 probable and 2 what ifs, even in those moments that you flip, right, and you feel that what you thought was most probable is now third or is a what if, you still need to be prepared to make money off that happening, because typically when you flip your response and your probabilities seem to flip, that's when what you were expecting to happen will happen. Key learning moment, right? But I still thought it was a top 3. But the technicals sure as hell were not supporting it, which is why I had been, a lot of YouTubers who are obviously watching my channel were making fun of me and saying things like educated comments with air quotes, shut the door, stuff to that effect. Here, you can play my cell phone. Go. All right. Yeah, my 9-year-old dog. My pole barn window just kind of staring at me. Oh, he's making a video. All right. Anyway, so So anyway, yeah, those YouTubers who thought I was ridiculous, it's kind of funny now. I was talking about 39.5 to about 45,000. I was talking about the weekly 21 for 3 weeks. Now those are the most popular things to talk about on all of YouTube. So it's kind of interesting how that came around full circle. And honestly, I saw one of the most watched crypto YouTubers. I won't name any names. Actually, I know he's watching my channel because he started using indicators that I specifically built called ribbons, and he did not use it in the history of his channel before I started using it. And now he uses it. But I actually support that kind of stuff because it's a good visual for all of his viewers. But anyway, so now a lot of crypto YouTubers are on this boat, which could mean that, self-fulfilling prophecies come true more quickly. Thus, an acceleration to the downside could be maintained, especially if this retracement fails. Things could come below this origin line pretty quickly and meet up with the weekly 21 or somewhere close, somewhere around 55,000, something like that, or dip below it even, So here's what could happen now that everybody's staring at the same damn thing. Okay, so couple things. This is what I'm anticipating. Now that everybody sees what I had been seeing, I don't think the exact thing will happen. Okay, exchanges don't make money from that. Exchanges don't make money from people being right. Okay, they have to use their weight as some of the biggest whales in all of crypto to make sure that they don't have to pay people up who guess right. Okay, so I think something like this could happen. And I don't know, I'm not going to try to put probabilities. I'm just going to say several what ifs or, potentials. So I think that Bitcoin could, and this is on the weekly scale. Let me get to the daily. I think Bitcoin could do something like ride this origin line, which goes back to 2012, new viewers. I'll zoom out here in a bit. I think Bitcoin could come down to this line, something like that, flash, go below it, and on the same day, like this is a wick, like close right at the line, the next day close above it, maybe do a failed retracement, and then the next day it just rides the line day after day, some a little bit below, some a little higher, some below, but a lot of riding the line, okay, this origin line, until it breaks out from this all-time high, in which it would then take off, essentially forming a big triangle. I think something like this could happen. It just really rides the origin line. I anticipate that until it breaks out. And now would it do it on the last day? Probably not. It'd probably break out about here. And that would take us till potentially August. Okay, early August. But like I said in my previous follow-up video, that was 1 minute long. Bitcoin could go sideways for 3 months and still be perfectly fine. Well, okay. Yeah, so May, June, July. So that's a little bit longer, 4 months, but it could happen. It could easily happen. Okay, so Bitcoin might not make all-time highs until early August or late July. Let's say that, because it usually things usually break out about 70% through. So wherever this would be, late July. No, that's early July. So around July 4th. Is it likely Bitcoin would stay in that tiny bit of the section? Nah, it's a little too volatile for that. So yeah, Bitcoin could easily move sideways along this origin line until early July. Okay, late June, easily, or early July. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. That play did not happen. There is no fractal to that, but Bitcoin does, in the past, it has ridden lines for quite an extended period of time, and so you need to consider that as an option. And if if that does end up happening, altcoins probably will do very, very well versus Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dominance could fall below 40. I mean, it did last season, but if it moves sideways like that, I bet small alts and mid and big cap alts might perform pretty well. Maybe not the biggest cap coins, the top 10, Litecoin and Ethereum and all that stuff, and Cardano, but bigger cap coins like your Neos or Trons and EOS and stuff like that, those could, and everything smaller, could perform very well. All right, so the next thing, now that everybody's staring at the same levels, another thing that could happen instead of what's expected, is instead of coming down to touch its 21, which Bitcoin has done historically almost perfectly, it could make it look like it was going to close the week, maybe wick. So this would be something like a wick down here, but it closed like this, right above it and wicked below. And then the next week could start up like this for 3 days and then crash down and then wick back up and close right there and actually be a doji. That could easily happen, and that would liquidate a lot of people. And so I would see that coming as kind of like a beginning of week attack or an end of week attack. All right, so it would either happen near the beginning of a weekly candle or at the end of the weekly candle. I would say the beginning of the week attack would be in the up direction, and then its true colors would be shown, bam, and then everybody's buying the crap out of it. It would probably be a long wick, and it would probably close as a doji. I really think something like that could happen because the leveraged exchanges, right, they don't like it when you make money. Something like this is going to happen, all right? You just saw that my suspicions were correct. Like those are the exact reason. Like this is what was going on. If you think that the exchange owners and executives aren't talking to each other, you're fooling yourself. Okay. However, if you can anticipate and put their trickery in in 5 potential scenarios, 3 most probable, 2 what ifs, you can be prepared to make money from all of them. But the first step, almost like, being an addict of something, the first step is to admit you're an addict, right? So the first step in this is to realize what you're up against. You can't just think that this is a fair game, right? It is not. But once you realize it's not a fair game, you can try to play their game. It's still pretty hard. And really profit from it, okay? So I really don't think Bitcoin's going to come down here exactly, to like 45,000 and wick just a tiny bit below and come up. I really don't expect that to happen. Unless another probable thing is this. Just like that flash crash happened at night, I think, right? On a weekend to boot, when most people, the big professional traders, aren't active. So therefore they can't make moves. I think a weekend move could happen again where Bitcoin, perhaps on a daily chart even, Bitcoin kind of making its way down here, maybe going up, and then kind of riding. And then, so this would be the weekly 21. This line here is the weekly 21, even though I'm on the daily. I think something like within 2 hours or 1 hour, okay, it just goes boom, boom, and the daily closes like this with a big long wick. So it can touch it during a weekend in the middle of the night where most people, even though they might have their order set here, but something to that effect could happen where it just touches it quickly. And that's what happened in September of 2017. It hit it perfectly on a weekend, a flash down, and then charged right back up. Okay, so any type of thing that that exchanges coordinated together can do to make sure that they pay out as little as possible to leverage traders, that's what's going to happen. Okay, you don't see unless you're crawling out of a bear market. You don't see, which actually it does happen a lot then. Like Bitcoin loves to ride this for quite some time. But in a full-blown bull market where historically longing the weekly 21 of Bitcoin or any major asset is a great idea. It's not just going to ride this line and give you a bunch of chances and just stay flat and go with it. It ain't going to happen. Like and if that were to happen, then there's going to be some form of volatility this way or that way to get associated with it. All right. So just remember, like, this isn't going to be a sitting duck for you to capitalize off of potentially Bitcoin wanting to touch that weekly 21. Also be aware that Bitcoin could actually be more focused on its weekly 20 simple moving average, which could easily happen, which should be lower because the simple moving average moves more slowly. So let's just kind of take everything off but the 21 EMA and the 20 SMA. Oh no, it's at the same level. Interesting. Yeah, and it's going to happen pretty soon because when these cross, that's typically the start of the bear market. Now, it can cross just for a smidgen. but without the bear market beginning. But this has 100%. Actually, you know what, folks? That's not good. That has 100% hit rate to start the bear market. Yeah, look, cross there, bear market, cross there. The fake bull market ended. It went back down to 4,000. 2013, I didn't realize this was happening. Yeah, it has 100% hit rate, and it's about to happen. I didn't know that was happening. What I anticipate, what I think could happen is something like this. Even though this was pulling out of the bear market, and this has never happened for a smidgen during a bull market, but something like this, just like a quick cross where price is confidently closing above it, but because of prior bearish candles, the EMA moved more quickly down, the SMA passed it, but at the same time, price is confidently above it. I think something like that could happen if they actually do cross. Therefore, boom, price just skyrockets up. So I think a fake out of this signal could actually happen here, but you'll know very easily. If price is closing easily above both of them, then you know it's not the start of the bull or the bear market, right? And I really do not anticipate the bull market being over. Bitcoin has a long way to go. I mean, based off every possible scenario that I can think of, every way to look at the market, it's got a long, long way to go. But it does need to cool off, which is what I've been saying for quite some time. Yeah, that cross is something I hadn't seen. That is kind of concerning. I didn't expect to see that. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. I'm kind of emotionally, maybe not emotionally, but I'm coming up short for words. I really don't know what to think because I haven't had time to think of it. I'll follow up on this thing tomorrow. Yeah, they're going to cross. But I don't want to freak anybody out. The chance of the bull market being over, I believe it's not just a what if, but it's like way down the list on what ifs. I would think it's easily less than a 3% chance. There's just so much going for Bitcoin. And it just, and I think that if I could get price history of, actually, you know what? So in the flash crash here, they crossed. So yeah. So even though this was a flash crash of 70%, this was still the bull market right here, right? And they did actually cross if they had existed. So price was a little too young for them to actually exist, but it did. And then Bitcoin price skyrocketed like crazy just after it crossed. So this actually, this could be a really deep correction, folks. This could hit the monthly 10. That's going to signal a lot of people to sell. Where's the monthly 10? Oh, I took it off. All right, I'll put the 10 simple, and so the 10 EMA is down at 35,000. I don't know. Cryptilian and crypto crackhead community. I haven't had time to think of this because I didn't see that before I started my video, and I really never anticipated to actually see that cross because I don't use the SMAs a whole bunch, but per viewing other traders, as other traders view me, I watch their channels too, because I get taught a lot of things, as I've noted on my channel multiple times. This was not my idea. I got this from another trader. A few of them had on the SMAs, and it really seemed to make sense on some, so I thought I would pull it up a little bit more here. Yeah, the 10 EMA monthly, even though the Bitcoin price last run didn't really actually hit it, it just got really close. So look at all the times it got super close to it, right? So let's measure the, so past all time, so this doesn't count. It's got to be past its all-time high. So from here to there, it got within 12% there. 15% there, and then it was off to the moon. So let's just say 15% up from that is something you need to be prepared for. Does it align with 40,000 perfectly? Yeah. Yeah, it aligns with 39.5, which is a number I've been spitting out because on the weekly candle, it's this. That line is very like that might be in my top 3 now. I had taken that out of my top 3 with this cross here, and with the fact that everybody's staring at this and exchanges are going to want to screw them. I think this could be the most likely, because a lot of people are going to be longing there. They'll be able to liquidate and screw a bunch of people. And if it were to hit this line, again, it would either do it kind of in one of those ways I was saying earlier, like a flash touch, boom, boom, when no one's trading on a weekend, or it will wick below it significantly to 35,000 or something, like down to that in this wick here. Is there a 2? What's closing at the 35? Yeah, look, the bi-weeklies right there. Yeah, it could wick down to here. And that would make it almost touch. That would get it within like 2% of the weekly 10 EMA. I just don't think it'll touch this exactly, but it could. If it's screwing people out of their longs at the weekly 21, and like a lot of people use the SMAs too, so that's both at the same time, I guess that line could satisfy that. And maybe when the exchanges are reading the order books where people have their longs and stops and stuff, and they calculate how much money they'll make by dumping a lot of Bitcoin on the market, thus liquidating a lot of people who don't know a lot about leverage trading. I guess it could be satisfied by that, by just wicking it down to there. Because you have to think, though, that, the exchanges, when they do this stuff, they are risking their money. Because if they don't put enough weight behind what they want to do, using their Bitcoin or whatever, or their Tether on hand, if they don't put enough weight behind it and what they want to happen or trying to make happen doesn't happen, they lose a lot of money by doing it. So I really don't think that they could. I really think it might be, their analysts would say, no, don't try to make it wick past. Don't try to make price wick past here to liquidate people longing here, because the chance of losing your money is too high. I really don't think it'll wick past this. I think 38. 30 right at 39,000 might be as low, like 38.7 or something would be as low as price would go, even on a wick. Yeah, there's a lot happening right here. I told you all, I've been telling you all, what is happening with Bitcoin right now with the pressure on both sides is so amazing. Like, it's really beautiful to watch, as if you were like a horse expert, and you knew, you had bred horses for racing, and then you just got a horse that was, like Secretariat. this is Secretariat level, beauty of Bitcoin price and pressure. This is really a fantastic moment to be in it. And even though it's volatile and kind of scary for a lot of people, and my account's pretty down, but I have faith that everything will come back up. So that's what I got. So these are the things to be watching out for, okay? So key levels as a summary, now that I'm not rambling. And now I have a little bit of thought behind this. So in summary, first and foremost, in terms of bull market, bear market, is the bear market going to begin? Okay, well, it's possible, but very unlikely. So when this crosses, which it looks like it will, what to look out for is if and when price, I assume will go below it, how quickly will it rebound and start closing candles above? Okay, if it starts closing candles above within about 3 weeks, we're good to go. Okay, you can be confident that you don't need to fully exit the crypto market and move into Tether and all that crap. That the party's not over. So that's one thing. The second thing to look out for is that Bitcoin wants to ride this and does a quick wick down to touch the 20, both at the same time, as to try to make it so a lot of people cannot enter positions there, and then ride until early July. Another possibility is that price comes down, wicks past the 21 here in the 20 SMA, and then has a beginning of week attack, like the first 2 days bullish, and then goes boom, and then comes right back up and closes something like on a doji, like a small green or small red doji. I think this is, I would guess that that is the most likely. But I don't think it's 50%, right? I just think maybe it's like 20% likely, but no other situation is greater than 20% likely, because a lot of shit could happen right here, right? Like a lot, there's a lot of trickery that the exchanges are probably planning to continue making billions of dollars off of people with maybe a little stimulus money left. Or just normal gamblers. I think those are the three that I would be ready for, though. So I just don't think I don't think it's going to perfectly touch the SMA 20 and the 21 EMA. I think everything but that will happen. And if it does perfectly touch it, it'll happen in the middle of the night on a Saturday or a Sunday, before, well, actually, no, it'd be before Japan starts trading. So it wouldn't be Sunday night. It would be a Friday night or a Saturday night. When professional markets are closed. So those are all the things that I could see happening. And at the very, very lowest, something like down to, no, I just really don't think price will get below 38,800 or so. I don't see that happening, even worst case scenario. So that is my market update, and I will have more thoughts on this cross. It might take me a few days to think about it. I'm pretty perplexed about it, honestly, because it does have a 100% hit rate, and it's going to cross. Unless price really, really books it up right now, which that actually could happen. So I think a what if to look out for is price could actually just really start rebounding here and make all-time highs quickly within a week. I think that's a what if, because this is and that would make it avoid this cross. And as you know, on stuff like the 4-hour 10 EMA crossing below the 21, a lot of times price goes below and specifically zooms right up before that cross happens, as if the folks pulling the strings of the puppet are trying to get people to trade that cross, but then boom, skyrockets it up right before it crosses. I mean, I can just pull up the 4-hour here and show you. Let me show you what I mean. Something like this could happen, but on that, which would actually be super bullish for Bitcoin. And I think that might be my third most probable, honestly, is that Bitcoin starts booking it up to avoid that. I think that might be my number 3 if I had to put a top 3 to it. And anyway, so the 4-hour, this market is pretty perplexing right now. So let's do this 4-hour. Okay, so a lot of times, so something like this. So typically this cross is very bearish, and on the 4-hour, the 10 crossing below the 21. But a lot of times you get fake outs where price, it goes down, and right when it's crossing, boom, and then price resumes up. And look, another fake out, boom, and finally it happens for real, and then the winning trade would be down. When it crosses back up, price gets confident. Another double fake out thing. Cross down, whoops, cross down, whoops. Too bad you were trading shorts, right? Because this is a very common cross to trade, because it typically has a very big effect when the 4-hour 10 crosses below. And as you get down to smaller and smaller time frames, the more finicky and more fake outs it gets. So it's it's kind of safer. Oh, another fake out here, right? So price kind of looks like it might have the cross, go way down here, right? And so none of these candles existed right here, right? And this was aggressively approaching, and then boom, 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 right? Fake out of it. It just seemed like, oh, here, another one. Look, I mean, just look how perfectly it plays there. Let's get rid of price. Look at this. Look at all the times it comes right to it and goes, bam! Like people, so, somebody's eyeing this stuff. I mean, just look at it. Like, look how often it happens, these fake outs. So when it actually does happen, price typically plummets. So look how perfectly it gets it there. Kind of like a double fake out thing. This happens a bunch. This one, I guess, was a true one, but it's more of a fake out before the real move. And then it kind of does it twice here as well. And this was happening right when I tweeted, which I thought, you know what, I think this one's actually going to stick. This will not be a fake out, because we've had too many fake outs. So that was really the premise for my tweet. is seeing this cross. This cross is pretty powerful, even though there are tons of fake outs on the 4 hour. See how, much price action went down there, and see how many just times it gets close and then pumps up, right? So, price contracting, and then boom, it happens all the time. And this is partly why I love the 4 hour. I love trading the 4 hour. I think it's my favorite chart to trade, as long as I look at the weekly as well. There's just so much information on it. So, but, so I guess, maybe I wouldn't wait to judge the market for the candles closing on the daily. Maybe what might be a good thing to judge is the 4 hour. Once the 4 hour RSI, it's EMA, once it crosses above here, the EMA, the line, not the green stuff, right there, once it gets to about there, and the RSI itself is above it, I would think pretty confidently that that price is going up, and that could happen slightly before price is confidently closing above the daily 10. So honestly, I would probably want to leg up on this and probably take a look at the 4 hour instead of the daily. But obviously, you'd want to look at both, because look, you're getting ready to have the cross. I mean, okay, so here's the case for Bitcoin to have a fake out and just go up. So see how this cross, a lot of times price gets sucked into it and blast up as this is about to happen. Just like I showed you on the 4 hour. I mean, look what happened here. Blast up, right? Look, blast up. So this is a common play. Here it actually did cross. And then when we get before, we're kind of like crawling out of the bear market, so it happened a lot more. Yeah, and typically if you're in a severe uptrend, I mean, look, price contracted, made it look like it, so that means price was down here, and then it blasted up. And then when it finally did happen, that started the descent down 70% over over a 9-month period of time. This is 9 months. This was the rise from the bottom of January 2019 to late 2019, as it went up to 14, screamed from the bottom to 14,000. And so you can see here, just kind of look how this goes. So here it actually did cross, and this is the one I think might be a fractal. So maybe it will cross. And maybe that 21, that SMA, the 20 SMA will cross, and I think something like this could happen. So if you want to take a look here, what we're staring at is the daily, the 10 EMA with the 21 EMA, and this is the fractal, I think. No, this is actually not. This is the fractal. This is the one towards the origin line. So I think something like this is going to happen. That price will dip below the origin line. I've been saying this for 3 weeks. So removing price and only looking at the daily, I actually, it could dip down below. But if price were to charge up as to avoid that weekly cross, it would look like this. So be prepared for this. And the way you get rid of price so you can just look at it is it's up, it's always here. You just have to hover and you can see an eyeball and hit it. And you can take a look. Okay, does it look like it's going to be a fake out or not? And if it starts looking like this, then price is probably about ready to explode up, and that cross will be avoided. So I would really keep an eye on it. So there's a lot of stuff to look out for here. There's a lot of shit that could go down here. This is about ready to get really exciting. So you need to keep an eye on key levels like 38.8, 40,000. About 45,000, which would be the weekly 21 EMA, and just below the origin line. And you can also look out for price to ride this origin line for quite some time. I have made my Bitcoin charts public on TradingView, so you can just look up Cosas Verdes. This is available with the origin line, so you can copy them. New viewers, anybody, you don't have to be part of my Patreon. And then another thing to look out for is price will want to avoid that weekly cross. Therefore, these two lines won't cross at all. And we'll actually know that you'll know within 3 days if that's going to happen. So once this crosses, price likely won't race up. It'll probably stay down for a little bit and then start racing up. So be on the lookout for this. And those are the only things that I can tell you to be on the lookout for. Now, how do you make money off of this? I mean, it's pretty hard to make money when everything's down. These are the times you just try not to make decisions that compound your losses, right? So I had been recommending for weeks that or I didn't, well, I'm not a financial advisor. I had been dropping hints that I personally was moving about 20% of my portfolio and Tether to get flat. And I pulled the trigger on half of it too early because I got tricked. That price was going up, but still, I still had 10% of my portfolio flat. But anyway, I had been recommending that for a while. So what I'm saying is just concentrate during these times on two thoughts. So I don't have exact recommendations on enter this trade because honestly, I don't think there's going to be a lot of aggressive movement unless you just have your rando, Nano starts mooning or like some 2017 shitcoin, right? So that's going to happen, but don't try to be picking those is my thing. Okay, so concentrate on these two things, or maybe three thoughts. Okay, I'll leave you with three thoughts. Just general sentiment. Don't be looking to hit grand slams. Okay, all right. That's what we're going to have May for. May is probably going to be glorious. Okay, so hold your grand slam and home run. Home is a baseball reference. That means really good. Hit it over the fence. Okay, folks who don't know much about baseball, which is fine. It's an American sport, I think. But anyway, similar to cricket. Whatever's good when you hit the ball in cricket. So don't try to hit home runs. Just more think like hunker down and limit your losses. Manage your losses, okay? The second thing I want to leave you with is, concentrate, and this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but don't be selling bottoms. Okay? This is why I had been hinting that I'm holding Tether so I can be prepared to buy bottoms. When you see stuff tanking, that's when you should be prepared to be buying, okay? Now, not with all of your portfolio. I'm not saying sell 100% of your portfolio at every Bitcoin scared. No, that's a horrible idea. That's why I talk about 20 bags and 30 bags and 50 bags, okay? Somewhere between 20 and 50% might be a pretty good play because the times you're wrong and shit just keeps racing up, well, I mean, at least more than half of your portfolio is racing up with it, and you can just find ways to capitalize on the stuff you sold as everything else is going up. But anyway, try not to be selling bottoms and getting scared out, okay? Because stuff's about ready to get glorious in May. So you need to have the faith that, okay, my account's way down right now. I'm just going to hunker down. You just need that thought and have the hope, not just the hopes, but kind of just have faith that May will be glorious, okay? All right. And then the third thought is be prepared for these multiple scenarios, okay? So does that mean sell bottoms now so that you could potentially sell lower bottoms later? I'm not really saying that. I'm saying with whatever your situation is right now, I really don't think a lot of small caps are going to keep dropping. I think they have seen, I would guess that they have seen bottom, and honestly, they might start rising or going sideways as Bitcoin keeps correcting here. So I'm not saying that, but be prepared in terms of time frame on how long this could take. If Bitcoin avoids that weekly cross, stuff could get hot really quickly within 3 days or so. It could happen really fast. Because price sort of got close enough to the origin line. It got kind of close enough, to the weekly 21. It could ride off of that to avoid that cross. Or things could go sideways on this origin line, for quite some time. Which means the market might not be hot again until July. Even though I think May will be glorious for most things, including Bitcoin. But that is a possibility. So you need to be prepared for the possibility time frame wise. Bitcoin screams up within 3 days. Shit gets boring for 3 months at a time, or within a week and a half time frame, the next 10-15 days, stuff could continue being really bloody. And so those are the three time frame things you need to think of. And then going back to number 2, concentrate on not selling bottoms. Please, people. That's the time to be buying. And if you did not prepare yourself in flat positions with Tether, just eat your mistake, feel how painful it is not being prepared for that, all right? And be prepared next time. So what happened with me is I was prepared, and I saw Ethereum skyrocketing. I was like, I'm missing out, right? And I deployed half of what I had put in flat position. At least I kept half. So I was prepared. But the feeling sucks both ways, right? So if you're a person who didn't have any Tether deployed because you're in positions, right? That sucks real bad right now, right? However, it also sucks the other way because you can't time the market. So you have to get into flat positions for a certain portion of your portfolio before it happens, which means shit is going up as you're not buying stuff and you're staying flat, right? It sucks a little bit both ways, but only one way is stuff glorious at the end when it does happen, is if you're prepared. So that's why I strongly recommend that, understand that the feeling the other way, you're not gonna sell half your bags on the exact day. You can't do it. You have to slowly be preparing as you see divergence on the weekly RSI, essentially. That's when you start preparing. Okay? And be prepared to see like rallies and you're missing out. It doesn't matter. You need to be prepared, right? Because it sucks more being fully deployed and watching everything tank. For me, I only watched about 75% of my portfolio tank because I was prepared with, I kind of do stick with 20 to 30 bags typically, and I had that prepared. Okay, so those are the things I want you to think about. This isn't time for me to be yelling at you and calling you stupid because it sucks for everybody. However, this is actually awesome for everybody. More wealth is created when price does go down, right? If stuff goes up forever, you're actually missing out on tons of wealth earning potential. So these dips in this blood is honestly great opportunities as long as you were prepared for it. All right, so if you weren't prepared this time, soak in the pain and make sure it doesn't happen in the future. That's all I got for you. You just got